Age of Overlord is around the corner, and Phantom Knight has a chance to come back. Let's jump into it, and I'm going to show you what I've been cooking. So, for the deck list, we're on 3 of the Dark Horse, 1 of the Earth Horse, 1 of the Wind Horse, and 1 of the Water Horse. Then we're on Tier Limit Sheeran, Kekbek, Mudora, Yugioh, Keldo, Seer, Libic, Stangreaves, Graf, Ragged Gloves, 2 Ancient Cloak, 3 Torn Scales, 3 Silent Boots, 3 Ash, 3 Kagamucha Knight, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 2 Triple Tactics Thrust, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 King Sarcophagus, 2 Fogblade, and 1 Sword. Then in the extra deck, we're on Zeus, Zombie Vampire, Hope Harbinger Dragon, Titanic Galaxy, number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, Raiders Knight, Evil Swarm Nightmare, Double Break Sword, 1 Dante. This is so you can get the milling started with the Phantom Knights. Dante is good in this deck. Don't look at Dante and think it's weird. It does have utility in this deck. Access code, Apollosa, Bardiche, IP, and Cherubini Linguini. Then the side deck is just cards and different utility things I was testing. Fenrir isn't really great in here since you're milling so much. The Arc Rebellion and different rank up packages of like Ophion and things like that, you can use them, but then you're using Mudora and Keldo to put like the rank up spells back to turn them on. You can play them, but they're not as useful. And then Forbidden Droplet is good because it does trigger things like Keldo and Yugioh. So I think if you can fit it in, do put it in Droplet. So let's jump into the test hands, guys. Now here we have a fantastic hand. So now a lot of Phantom Knight players tunnel on the 1-card combo of Tour Guide into Graf. This deck becomes much more non-linear with the Horus stuff. And we're also on the Ishizus, as you saw in the deck profile. What the Ishizus enable is a very heavy mill strategy. So we're gonna start off by activating the Pharaonic Sarcophagus, or King Sarcophagus, or whatever the translation is in the TCG. We're going to activate it, and we're going to just send Kekbek. Then we're going to dump out Amnesty, and then Kekbek will activate to mill 5. So then off our mill 5, we don't really hit anything great, but we do have 2 we can special summon out. So we're going to special them out real quick. And then we're going to try and get our other 2 guys into rotation. And let's check the grave real quick. We just have 2 copies of Silent Boots in here. Let's activate the Sarcophagus again. We're going to pitch Yugioh this time. And we're going to dump the Water Horse. And then Yugioh will activate to mill 5 more. We have the Water Horse in grave. And with the last activation of the Sarcophagus, we're going to dump Ancient Cloak to the grave. And this will get our last Horus into rotation, which is the Wind one. So now we'll special these guys out. And now with summon number 5, because we're dangerously into Nibiru territory here, we'll make Photon Lord. And as our second rank 8, we'll make the Zombie Vampire. And then with Zombie Vampire, we'll go ahead and detach and we'll mill 4 more. And then we'll special 1 out. We will go ahead and special out Ragged Gloves. Now we have a loaded up graveyard. We'll go ahead and banish Ancient Cloak, and what we're going to grab is we'll just grab a copy of Torn Scales since we haven't normaled yet, and we'll trigger the Torn Scales in the grave because we can. So now we can just normal the Torn Scales, and we don't even need to use the effect at all. Let's check the grave real quick, see if we have any BAs in there that we need to shuffle back. Nope, did not hit a single BA name, so we can go ahead and link away and make Cherubini Linguini, and then we can just do the typical PK combo of Send Graf, Special Seer, so Send Graf here, so Graf effect, Special out Seer, and we don't have to worry about Nibiru because we have the Photon Lord. We can make Bardiche, so this makes our plays much more non-linear and much more adaptable. So we can bring back the Cherubini Linguini, we can make Apollosa or IP right here, because we don't really need Torn Scales on the board anymore, so we can go 2, 3, because we just have a loaded up graveyard, and then we can go Silent Boots. Silent Boots will grab a copy of Fogblade, and then we'll use Rusty. Rusty we'll just send any name, and we'll set a copy of Fogblade, and then we'll just finish up the turn real easy with another copy of Fogblade. That's just a really simple, easy board. And of course, what do we have here? We have 1 of the millers, so we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 disruptions. So let's take a look at another setup here on an easier, like less worse hand, because that hand was just really, really good. So now this hand isn't as strong, but it is pretty well set up to do things. We have the Foolish Burial to dump an Ishizu if we want to. We have Sheeran to start a play. We already have the Sarcophagus to start any play. So we'll just start off with Sheeran to start some mills, and we'll dump Ancient Cloak to the grave. So we hit a Fogblade and the Cloak we pitched. And we have Torn Scales ready to go. Let's go ahead and banish Cloak, and we'll grab Silent Boots. That'll trigger Torn Scales in the grave. And you can already see how we have our whole engine going off of that. So we just special boots. We build the same board off of that. Let's look at another hand, shall we? Now here's another hand that's not super duper strong, but it is relatively strong in its own right. So we can start our milling engine here by going Horus. We'll pitch the Earth one from our hand, and we'll grab the Sarcophagus this way, and we'll draw a card. So we drew double Sarcophagus, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We'll activate it, and then we'll go Sarcophagus effect. We'll pitch the other Horus, and we'll just dump the Wind one. So now we have all of them in rotation. You guys have seen this one before. We'll cut to where we have the 2 rank 8s on board. So now we have the 2 rank 8s on board. We can go ahead and activate the Zombie Vampire. We're safe from Nib, and we can mill, and we can special out 1. We will special out, ooh, we hit an Agita or a Kelbeck. We'll special out Boots. We'll go ahead and activate Kelbeck. Kelbeck will mill 5 more, and we got a Boots in the grave. We'll normal summon Cloak, and we'll go ahead and link into Cherubini. And then we would go ahead and go down the typical combo line, Sin Graph, Graph Effect, we'll grab Seer, but here we can differentiate a little bit. Here we can link into Oppo, and then Seer Effect, we can bring back Cherubini, and now we can go Cloak, we can grab Staingreaves, we can go ahead and activate Torn Scales, and then we can chain Staingreaves in hand, and Staingreaves will pitch the extra Sarcophagus from our hand, and we will dump just any of the traps, or we'll dump Ragged Gloves, because Ragged Gloves can be really anything, and we'll make Bard right here, and then we'll grab a Fog Blade out of the deck, and then Ragged Gloves, we'll go ahead and dump Sword, and then Sword will just bring back a guy, and then we can make Break Sword. Rusty Effect will pop the Break Sword, and then Break Sword, we can just bring back our 2 dudes, and we can make Evil Swarm Nightmare. And when we want to, we can go ahead and add another Fog Blade to the board. So we end on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 disruptions here. So I think this is a good way to play Phantom Knights going forward. I think the adventure engine is not very great for this deck. If you're wanting to play Horus, try the Ishizu stuff. I think there's something to this build. So until next time, guys, peace, take it easy.